Today we're talking about substance abuse and recovery in the foster community.
Friday, November 8th, and the conversation starts now.
Right here on Rob and Tristan's Foster Life. Bum. Tristan's Foster Life. Today we have Joe Mama in the house. Tristan is out on assignment and won't be here for the next 3 episodes. He's going to be out and working hard for Foster TV doing what we do. So Joe Mama's going to be filling in today. I think Cindy's going to be on the show, and I think you're going to cover for us too. We have Katie. She's the newest member on Rob and Tristan's Foster Life, and she joins us every Wednesday. But right now she's been sitting in and kind of helping out as she's kind of learning the ropes here and where cameras are and mics and all that stuff. So it's good to have you with us today, Katie. And it's always good to have Joe Mama. You can catch Joe Mama's show coming real soon right here on Foster TV. And we got some fun things going. Go watch the commercial. It's going to be a lot of fun coming up. So, it is the weekend coming up. I heard a nasty little rumor from my business manager the other day.
Oh.
And she said that you probably have your Christmas tree and stuff up already. Is that true?
I started, yeah.
Did you start before Halloween? Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness. I cannot imagine.
I have 15 trees.
15 trees. Now, are we going to see this on Joe Mama's house?
I hope so.
Oh, really? Now, we're getting ready to do the outside, but we'll do the outside now just because the weather's nicer.
That's the best.
And then we'll not decorate the inside till after Thanksgiving. That was kind of my mom's little tradition, and so that's what we do at our house too. When do you do your Christmas?
At the very last minute, and I take my tree down the day of and the day after Christmas.
Oh.
I'm ready to be done with it.
Christmas.
Really?
I love Christmas. I love the idea. I love everything that goes into it, but I don't like the decorations. I just feel like it messes up my feng shui.
Oh,
I feel
really?
like when it all comes down, that's when everything is all off.
Really?
When it's Christmas in my house, it's perfect.
I like it when it's up, and then I love it when it comes down, and that's just kind of how I roll.
I've never heard of anybody doing it before Halloween, though.
Yeah,
I
at
kind of
15.
mixed it all together, so it doesn't like my trees have kind of ornaments on them so they just kind of look rustic.
Right. Well, I got my start in the entertainment business in Branson, Missouri, and I'll tell you what always fascinated me is you had Halloween, and then the very next night you go driving through Branson and it's all Christmas, and I was just like, this is crazy. And so they do Christmas a little early, and I can see why they do that in Branson, obviously, because there's a short window of time to see Christmas shows and that kind of stuff. But if you're in the area, I don't want you to miss Silver Dollar City's Christmas.
Right.
Oh my goodness. The lights are amazing, and the Today Show has broadcasted many times from there, and I think it's in one of the top 5 places in the United States to see Christmas lights out there at Silver Dollar City. So if you're down this way, make sure to go out there and see that. So, Katie, what's in the news today?
So there has been a proposed regulation that will allow faith-based adoption agencies to not allow same-sex couples to adopt.
Really?
So this is just going through. It's been in the news a lot this week.
Yeah, and so I don't agree with this at all.
Right?
One of the reasons I don't agree with this is because if you look at the likelihood of people to adopt, most of that's most likely to adopt would be same-sex couples for obvious reasons. Number 2, if you've spent any amount of time in my home with my kids, I'm going to tell you right now, if you're against same-sex couples adopting, come spend a day with us. And I have had more workers in my house. We take in elevated behavior kids, and then we take in kids that have that are addicted to drugs, babies.
Medical.
Yeah. So medical babies, and usually the babies that we take are the ones that are addicted. That's kind of where I like to work. I'm going to tell you, those kids, they love us to the moon, and they don't care. And we have built a really good family. We have all these workers that come in, and I just was told this the other day. A worker was in my house, and she said, you know, when I first started coming here, she said, I was a little maybe uncomfortable thinking about two guys taking care of all these kids.
Mm-hmm.
And she has been in my home every Monday for 4 hours for 2 years. And she told me on Monday that because of her experience with Ethan and I in our home, that her and her husband have decided that they're going to adopt.
It's the biggest compliment.
Yes.
And I just think of, and I'm going to get a little bit preachy here, real quick.
Sure.
I have a very good relationship with God. When I finally quit listening to other people and started listening to the God that I serve every day, because really, yes, we are a family, but I started fostering because I wanted to serve on a permanent basis.
Right.
When I look at the Bible, and there's probably many of you that will want to argue with me, I can't see any place where Jesus says that same-sex couples shouldn't serve, and that's what we're doing, is serving. It doesn't say that we should take care of the widows and the orphans, except for same-sex couples.
Right.
They shouldn't. There's no boundaries there. And I'm going to close with this because it is Rob and Tristan's foster life. And this is what I want to say. Every single kid that has come into our home, we have prayed for before they even came into our door. And after they came into our home, we prayed for, and we pray for every single day. Our family prays together 3 times a day. And God has really blessed our family. And I think that it is unfortunate that we live in a country where somebody would want to sign something saying that good people shouldn't be able to adopt or to foster.
Well, and I think just from being on this side of working with families in foster care and doing foster care myself as well, this is a huge setback.
Yeah.
Because we are already so limited on the foster families that we have.
Yep.
And this takes out a huge population of people who really want to have children.
Yep.
It can do such a service. So I really hope that this gets repealed or whatever has to happen.
Yeah. And I think that we live in a time where things are going to change, and we just need to hold tight. But Foster TV launched a campaign this year. Same-sex couples make awesome foster parents, and we will stand behind our same-sex couples, our opposite couples, our single parents. We serve all of the foster care community here at Foster TV. When we come back today, we got a special guest. We're going to be talking about addiction. care in the United States. Many of them come from backgrounds of alcohol and drug abuse. And today we have Dave Stoker on the show, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about recovery and what that looks like in the foster care system. So, welcome to the show. So, we work with kids all over the country and bio families and different things, and a lot of times substance abuse has something to do with their plan. And so tell me a little bit about what that might look like for a bio family whose kids have just been removed and brought into care.
As far as
so how do we get them on track to start their recovery, but also get the kids on track? Because a lot of them, as we look at the kids, they've been they have a stigma about their parents because they've been using for so long, and we're trying to create a new relationship. So how do we do that? How do we go about that?
creating a new relationship, I think really respect, and support, compassion, I think go a long way. I think a lot of times modeling what a healthy family looks like, because you have kids that are coming from chaos.
Right.
If you look at the ACEs survey, the ACEs survey looks at 10 things that people go through whenever they're younger. Everything from, were you worried about being abused physically, sexually, emotionally? Did you live with your bio mom and dad? Were there days that you didn't know whether or not you would be able to eat? Was there stable housing? And we find that a lot of times we have kids that are going through those things. And if you look at the actual research on the ACEs survey, you're going to find that the higher somebody scores, the more at risk they are.
Right.
Out of 10 questions, if somebody scores a 4, they're like 12 times more likely to develop an alcohol use disorder. If they score a 6, they're, I want to say, oh my gosh, anyway, it's 46, they're 46 times, so 4,600% more likely to inject illicit drugs when they get older. And a lot of times their parents grew up in those exact same situations, so it's normalized for the kids. Drug use becomes a normalized thing. The chaos in the house becomes a normalized thing. And I think sometimes it's up to the foster family to kind of model what a healthy, non-chaotic house looks like, and to kind of teach them a new normal.
Right. And sometimes, we found with our kids when we have brought them in and they see the normal lifestyle, that makes them very uncomfortable. And it can sometimes cause problems because maybe there's not the chaos and stuff. So tell us a little bit how do we kind of break that so that they, to work with them more effectively?
I think repetition. I think a lot of times when somebody is nice to, take me for example, when somebody was nice to me, it generally meant that they wanted something from me. So growing up that way, I was very reticent whenever somebody would start to be nice. In your head, you're like, are you plotting on me? What do you want from me? So I think showing that over and over again and letting them know that I don't want anything from you. I want to love on you. I want to care about you. I'm going to show you compassion.
And that you're going to show up for them.
Absolutely, that you're going to be there.
You're going to be there at their parent-teacher conference. You're going to be there at their sporting events. You're going to be there at their church events. You're going to be at whatever they're involved in. Continuing to show up, I think, is so important for these kids because they're really not used to that. How many times did mom and dad tell them that they'd be at their football game and then they're not there because they were using or whatever? So when you were talking about the ACEs, a lot of times we talk about here on Foster Life about kind of breaking the chain. So for years the family's been run this way, and how we're going to break the chain so that we don't continue to do the same patterns and the same things that have happened in this family. So what kinds of things can we do as foster parents to help break that cycle and break that chain so that they aren't at such a high risk for alcohol abuse and drug abuse and that kind of stuff?
Probably some of the same things that we're going to be teaching their parents as their parents go through treatment. You know, whether that's mindfulness and meditation techniques that they can learn how to cope and self-regulate.
Right.
Because I think that's a major issue, and I don't think we're teaching our kids that. You know, we're not teaching them, okay, whenever you start to feel yourself getting really angry or really mad, this is how you give yourself a timeout, and here are things that you can do to help ground you. You know, I think that's really important.
Yeah. And I think for our older kids, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we need to teach them some of the things that we teach in Al-Anon as well, like how not to be a, an enabler. Because some of our older kids, they have become enablers for their parents and for their addiction. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I've never been a big fan of the term like enabler or tough love, some of those things, but when I work with families, we probably need to teach them, like I said, the same thing we teach kids. I like to teach people how to set healthy boundaries and boundaries they can live with the outcome of.
Yeah.
You know, I think that we need to teach people, like, you need to set a boundary, what a healthy boundary looks like, and to make sure that it's one that you can keep.
Yeah. Yeah. When we come back today, we're going to talk more with Dave about addiction and recovery and the foster care. Welcome back to Rob and Tristan's Foster Life today. Thanks for sitting in for Tristan while he's out. I want to continue this conversation because we were talking a little bit at the break. And a lot of these kids that come from families that have addiction issues, they kind of play different roles in the family. And tell us kind of what some of those roles might look like when they come from a family with addiction, and what are some things that we can do as foster parents to kind of help them through with those roles?
I think some of those roles are actually, they can be positive. You know, I think that they've just been used in a negative way.
Right.
Like you have kind of the superstar, the savior. You've got the kid that excels at everything, and a lot of times he's doing it because when he does really well, then it takes the focus off of everything that's not going right in the family.
Right.
So I mean, who doesn't want that straight A student that starts on the basketball team and has all these friends and is super popular at school?
Right.
So I don't think it's a bad thing. It's the reasoning behind why they do that can be the negative part of it.
Yeah. I think one of the things that we see a lot with our kids was the kid that comes in and has kind of, we've had actually 3 of these types of kids where they have just taken care of everybody. So they used to get them dressed for school, and they used to do this and get them on the bus and get them off the bus and make dinner for them and stuff like that. And one of the things that we've just had to tell those kids is, this is your time to be a kid, and we're going to take care of these things. And you can still use those leadership roles in a positive way, but we got to somehow break the cycle that they don't have to take care of everybody.
It's not their job, but they can help.
Right. And there's certain things that we're going to give you that you're responsible for, but also we just want you to be a kid, and this is your time to kind of shine at that as well.
If they're used to helping little sister get ready in the morning, then learning that somebody, the adult, is supposed to, then the other one can still help with hair or you know, whatever, but they have to know that that's not their job.
Right. The other thing that we've often seen with a couple of our kids is, if you are that family that once in a while likes to have a glass of wine or a beer with your dinner or whatever, that can be very alarming for some children that are coming into your house. Because our one son, he just assumed, because the first time that he saw us having a beer or wine or something, he just automatically assume that this meant, oh, they're gonna get drunk and they're gonna do this and they're gonna do that. And so I think it's important that we open those conversations with those kids if that's the case. Would you agree?
I would definitely agree. I think that can probably even spark some trauma in kids. You know, I see a beer bottle. I know every time a beer bottle comes out, you know, dad or whoever that male is in the house gets drunk and then mom gets beat on.
Right.
So, I mean, as soon as they see that beer bottle or that glass of wine come out, that's going to pique their anxiety. That's going to bring back some of those traumatic thoughts.
Right. And I think the important thing with that is once having the conversation, but also if you're not that family that gets drunk and you just have a glass of wine, I noticed our kids over time have kind of, oh, well, yeah, they're just having wine, and, you know. And so it's, again, becomes a trust thing, but it comes after repetitiveness and repetition, and that might take a little while. And I would say if you want to go out and have a good time and kind of let your hair down, it's never good to do it in front of the kids, just because that can trigger a lot of bad memories and that type of thing as well. So when we're talking with kids about drugs, and I'm talking, you know, our older kids, so many times they see the drug use as kind of normal because that's what they've seen their whole life. And so when we talk to them, they seem like, oh, you're just churchy or you're just preachy or whatever. What are some things that we can do as foster parents to not seem preachy or churchy, but to kind of, other than being an example of not using, that would kind of encourage that? And what I'm thinking is, like, our older kids, a lot of times when we talk about like smoking pot or whatever, they'll say, oh, you know, my parents did that and they lived a normal life and whatever. And so what are some ways that we can open conversations that are healthier, other than, you know, because we don't want to sound judgmental either.
Right. I don't know. I know when I talk in schools, one of the things I always lead with is, you know, they brought me in to talk about drugs, then I want to let you know I love drugs and I love the way drugs make me feel. And then I stop and I pause and I kind of look around and then I go, but I hate the person to turn me into over time. I think a lot of times we lie to kids or we mislead them. People don't do drugs because they make them feel horrible.
Right.
You know, so if I sit there and tell a kid drugs are bad, drugs are bad, drugs are bad, the first time they try drugs, it makes them feel good. They're like, well, what else are they lying to me about?
Right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That's a good point.
that is a very good point. What else is there? The programs that they teach in school even include like cigarettes. So they see someone smoking a cigarette and all of a sudden it's,
Right.
you know, if one person is saying it's fine, but then, oh, does the school lie? You know, then you have to go through all of that. So, yeah, that's just...
Well, there was a lot to cover today, but what I want to do is I want to bring you back here in a month or so, and I want to continue this conversation because I know that this is a really big part of the foster community. And what I would like to do is do a show that we reach out more to the bio parents who are actually trying to stay clean and sober, and some of the things that they can do to make their program better so that they can get their kids back. Because we know from our research and from working here at Foster TV and all the things that we do, reunification is always, always, always the key. And if the parents can get on track, it is so much healthier if the kids go back to their bio families. And we know that that's important. And so I just really think that we would like to have you back, and let's do a show where we can really kind of work through some things with the bio parents and things that are going on there. When we come back today on Robin Tristan's Foster Life, we're going to be talking about wrapping today up, and then I bet you have some good news for us.
I do.
Right after. the weekend. And I know that it's going to start getting busy, so I think we're just going to kind of rest and just kind of enjoy the fall and just kind of relax a little bit this weekend, because as we get closer and closer to the holidays, I know that it's going to get a lot busier. We're going to start traveling more and decorating. And then after the new year, you know that Rob and Tristan are going on tour again, and we'll be in lots of different states and areas, and hopefully we'll see you out on the road. And then for my 50th birthday, yes, I'm going to be 50, on February 1st, I will be back in my second hometown, Nashville, and we have some big parties. It's going to be a 3-day birthday party. We did my 40th birthday in Nashville with Blake Shelton, Dirk Bentley, and Jamie Johnson, Miranda Lambert, and we had 1,000 of my family and friends were there for my 40th birthday, and we're going to be back in Nashville for 50. So if that many showed up for the 40th, I can't imagine what 50 is going to be like, but we're going to have a good time out in Nashville, and we'll be raising money for Foster TV while we're there as well for my birthday, so we want to look for everybody there. If you want to attend any of those VIP events that Tristan and I will be at, you can check out our website, fostertv.net, to get all the information on how to be there. Do you have a good story for me today?
I do.
Okay, what's your good story?
I really love it. Sesame Street has introduced a new character, Carly.
Yeah, Carly, we've done a story on her. She's the foster kid character.
Yes.
Yep.
And they have just opened up why she is in her temporary home.
Oh, okay.
Because her mom is going through a tough time, as they say.
Yep.
And they have opened the door to addiction within families, and on a much younger scale than what we have seen before.
Yeah, I love that. I love that they're having those conversations with kids, but also, so when I was in school, foster care was kind of like, oh, they're a foster kid type thing. And I think by having these characters and having these conversations and things, what it does is it helps the foster community feel more a part of something and not as maybe isolated.
Right.
And so I really love that they're opening this conversation and that they're using that, and we love Carly. She's actually in the opening credits of Robin Tristan's Foster Life, and we love her being on our show. When we come back on Monday, we have a really good show for you, and I cannot remember what it's about, but I'm sure that it's going to be really good.
It'll be fantastic.
But I know what it is now. We're going to be talking about kinship placements and how kinship's license is different than licensing traditional foster homes. And we're going to be kind of opening that conversation and exploring it. And Katie's going to be here to talk with us more about that. Till Monday, we'll see you then.
Help support Foster TV. Go to fostertv.net and make a donation today. Foster TV's My Story is a Hedfra production, only on Foster TV.